Wow, I never got a yay before. So thank you everyone for coming out. So talk a little bit about the history of the Teamsters. So, and this is, for some of you that have been to some of the meetings, you can just close your ears and don't have to shout out the answers. So when you guys think of the Teamsters, you guys think of truck drivers, right? Warehousemen, that type of stuff. For those people that know what the Teamsters do. The Teamsters represent everything from airline pilots to zookeepers, as we say, from A to Z. We represent police officers, probation officers, teachers, you name it, we represent it. Obviously the Teamsters started out as a truck, not necessarily a truck drivers union, but where the name the Teamsters comes from is it was a team of horses. So that's why if you look at the logo, it's got the two horses, because that's what it started out. That's where the name comes from. That's where it originates from. And it has a long, rich history within labor. And when you think of unions, most people think of the Teamsters. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, that's what they think of. Not necessarily Vegas or the movie Casino or the movie Hoffa. Those are all good movies, but they're not actually true to life as to the way the history of the Teamsters has played out through the years. One of the things that we pride ourselves in is obviously representing members and our position in the political climate. Dan Tobin was an international president. Prior to this past year, he was the longest standing international president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. And he had a very close relationship with FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So during that period of time, there was a lot of turmoil going on with workers. There was a lot of strikes. There was really no laws it was illegal in some states to join a union. There was a lot going on within the climate of the United States. You had rich and you had poor. That was it. That's all you had. There was no middle class. So the Teamsters take pride in, along with a lot of other unions, but I think there was a lot of things that happened in our history where we could say we helped build the middle class in this country. And the relationship in politics had a lot to do with that. FDR created the NLRA, National Labor Relations Act, which is an offshoot now. What we have in the public sector is the MMBA, Millers-Myers-Brown Act, and different laws that protect public sector workers. The public sector division within the Teamsters union is the largest division. So you guys would be glad to know that as public sector workers, that division is the largest in the Teamsters. So it's not the truck driving division, it's not the warehouse division, it's not the dairy division, it's the public sector division. And it's continuing to grow. I think last year in the public sector throughout the international, I want to say they brought in about 15,000 to 20,000 new members just alone last year in the public sector. And along with that comes a lot of political, I guess I could use the term power, because that's what we rely on in the public sector is the electeds, correct? The electeds that ultimately are the ones that vote on our contract. Ultimately, the electeds are the ones that say, okay, if you get a 10% increase, they either vote yes or no on it, correct? It goes to the Board of Supervisors. If you work in an agency, a school district, whatever, they're the ones that ultimately vote on it. Then you have pension issues and all those things. So what the Teamsters Union has done is create that political power here in the Inland Empire. So the vision of 1932 is to transform the Inland Empire into what it used to be in the 70s and 80s and get it back on track. It's not an easy task, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's possible. But the only way to really do it is to get the electeds on board with that. So, you know, I look at it as common sense, but I'm not an elected. I'm not running for office. So, forgive me if anyone is, but sometimes the electeds don't have common sense. But common sense is you have a good paying job, you put money back in the economy. Simple, right? You make good wages, you have good health care, you have a good retirement, you live in the community you work in. You put money back in there. You buy homes, you buy cars, you put money back into local business that pays taxes. And that's what generates your guys' increases, pensions and health care. That's what it all boils down to. So we had a meeting on October 25th? Yes. October 25th, where the local invited all the electeds around the region to come and have a sit down to talk about how are we going to rebuild the Inland Empire. What's it gonna take? There's so much going on there. You have all these pop-up warehouses, and what do you got in there? Temp employees, right? No benefits, no nothing, paying them minimum wage. So what do they have to do? They either travel to where they're working for, or they build low-income homes from. So then what that does, it creates this vacuum where nobody's putting money back into the economy. Because they can't, because their hands are tied, unfortunately. So with that little brief segue, I'll turn it over to Sharon to kind of clean that up for me.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm Sharon Martinez. I'm the research analyst at Local 1932. Some of you may have met me at some of the meetings in the past, and faces are familiar to me, some of you. And if I don't speak loud enough, I apologize. I just got over a horrible cold, and if I start hacking up along, he's taking over. It's pretty bad.
She was yelling at me, that's why she got. That's what it was.
You took my glory. So, I don't know if you have been to our meetings and heard about QVC out in Ontario. We have really preached on this QVC situation. They have a subsidy amount of $500 million. That's our taxpayer money, or the people who live in the community, that's their taxpayer money. They didn't have a vote on how much money they were gonna give away. Well, that's how it's going in most of our local economy, is our politicians are voting or coming in and they're taking away our taxpayer money, that all the subsidies are given away to big business to come in and put a warehouse in that gives us minimum wage jobs or temporary jobs or staff jobs, which he mentioned earlier. So when we shop local, like he was saying, and we put the money back into the economy, I'm sorry, I lost track of my thought process because I went off track of my notes here, which I should not do, but I did. So when the local economy is nice and solid, that's what he was saying builds our pay. You guys get a better raise, we have better revenue coming into the cities or the counties. So when it's going out back to the companies who are not giving fair wages, it does make a strain on our economy, because we're having I came from the housing authority, and I saw 12,000 on the waiting list at the housing authority. We don't have that kind of housing. So if we had people who had better jobs, they wouldn't need the resource of the housing authority to be able to support as a subsidy for them there. So that's one of the things that I've always been committed to, is the little guy. So when you go and look at QVC's parking lot, they were committed to 525 jobs by this year. No more than 20 cars are in that parking lot. And the city has given away 42-year commitment for $500 million, and they couldn't even commit in the last 2.5 years the jobs that they said they were going to do. That's pretty astounding to me. I was going to ask you guys, I don't know if you're from Ontario or live out there, but if you really look at it, how do you really want your tax money to be given away without your knowledge? Because that's what's going on. And everywhere we live, if you look around, if you have warehouses, there's subsidies given out to these companies. We need to be more involved in our local economy, going to our city council meetings, speaking up, all of us, as making a word for the little guy, and saying, we don't want this unless you're going to give fair wages. And we can all speak up and make a voice and make that a better accountability of these local governments. So what we're doing now with the research that we're doing at the office is we're trying to pass a new legislation that it's an amended Government Code 53083. And what that does is it tells the local governments, do not give away the farm, do not build this with a developer in the city, do not give away all these subsidies without making jobs accountable. So we're really proud that we might be part of this bigger legislation in a think tank. So speaking of think tanks, I'm sure some of you have heard that we were part of a think tank recently that actually pulled out the QVC information, and I wanted to give you guys all a first-hand copy. We just got this. It's a policy brief that we created with our think tank. And thank you, Carlos. And this policy brief really pulls out all the information that QVC has done. And you'll have This is just came out last week, and you guys are getting like the first copy of it. I think it might be on our website, but I'm not sure. If you haven't been on the website, you'll get more information on this policy brief, but we're pretty proud of it because it really points out the negative parts of what they're doing about giving away the money. And this is just one company in our region. Think about it all over within Riverside and San Bernardino counties. There's a lot of warehousing going in and a lot of low-income jobs coming in. So when they talk about, oh, the jobs are out there, jobs, but they're not living wage jobs. They consider a living wage job $16.70, I think, an hour for a family of four. I couldn't live on $16.70 an hour for a family of four. That's what they consider living wage. The people at PVC, they make $11 an hour. That's a job. It's not a living wage. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that, and if you have any questions about what this policy brief is, you're welcome to call me, email me, or ask questions if you have them in your head now. I'd be happy to answer what I know. Again, we were part of that think tank. We're part of that think tank where we got to invite 3 universities to come and help us, and they actually wrote it for us. Our name is not on it because we wanted to kind of be the silent. I did all the research on that paper, but they wrote it for us. You have a question?
Yes. Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
What type of incentives were there? Was it like a tax sharing agreement? Was it?
It's actually listed in there. They have a few different incentives in there. They had 55% of the taxes go back to them. After 40 years, then 60%. Or after 500 million. After the QVC gets 500 million of our taxes, or the city's people's taxes, that could have gone back to the city into the revenue to pay them better wages, they get 60%. So they can make up to 500 million, and they're gonna get 60% up to an excess, no limit. So you'll see that in that brief. It's pretty repulsive if you think about it, how much money.
Infrastructure too?
They didn't get the infrastructure. The developer got credits on the infrastructure to do some of the roads and the landscaping and to build it. And if you really look at the policy brief, you'll see that in there. It happens so quick. I've been in land development for 20 years, and what happens is it takes about 18 months to get entitlements and to get things started for someone to come in and build something in a city. It happened within 60 days. It was so quick. By the time they did environmental impact reports and all the other stuff that it takes to get this project approved, it happened like that. And so when the city council went to city council to talk about this with the public, there was no public in the audience. It took one, it's in there, his quote is in there, the city manager said, "Oh, no comments? Cool, approved." It was amazing. Yeah, it's really, that's why I say when we have an opportunity, we need to get involved in our city councils where we live.
A special meeting, or was it agendized on a regular board?
It's a regular meeting.
A consent item?
It was a consent item regular meeting.
A consent item?
I think so. It's in there.
Sorry,
It's,
that's rigid.
yeah. It's really what they're doing these days, and they're not getting the public knowledge out there to vote on this stuff or to be involved. And so we're trying to get legislation passed so we can say that the city community has to be involved, and we have to have a voice, because it's our tax dollars in our cities that are being given away to these different large companies. So we want to put the money back into small local economy. So Carlos, to wrap it up, Carlos and I have something to give you. Our little fun thing for the day.
Before we do that, can I add something?
Add something.
Okay. So, kind of personalize it. You know, the money that, talking about the money that's leaving the economy and it's giving all these tax breaks, think about it in, as far as your raises, your health care, the things that you don't have. And the reason all this is happening now is because as your union, these are things that we're trying to get in this next contract. We're actively putting things together now for the next contract, starting early. But that's not gonna happen. These things won't happen overnight. I'm not saying we're gonna get everything in one contract, but we can get a lot of these things done, but it's gonna take member involvement. Like, you just can't sit on the sidelines and not participate in what your union's doing and expect to get everything. It just doesn't work that way. You know, if there's a check in the mail and you don't want to go outside and get that mail, guess what? You can't cash the check, right? I mean, that's how it works. And what's going on is that we're trying to hold these politicians accountable and let them know that we're watching them. So the end result is to better your guys' life, and by doing that, it improves the community around you. And that's the common goal, is because then you guys will rebuild the Inland Empire. And you guys, and you know, as far as council meetings go, like with QBC, we go to council meetings all the time, and it's rarely packed. The only time it's packed is if we have an agenda and we have members go down there for a contract issue or something, but it's rarely packed. You know, it's always got to be like some hot topic item that's going on. So by what your union's doing, you guys just have to get involved, go to meetings, find out. Take one day out of the month. Actually, it's one day out of the month to just take time and find out about your union, because this is your guys' livelihood. So just think about it in that aspect, okay? So I mean, because people can sit back and throw stones, it's easy. We do it all the time. It's just human nature, right? We're negative, right? That's what we do. We're negative. People just tend to be negative. When you're sitting in, there's a group of people talking negatively, you want to be around. Oh, what are they talking about? I don't know what they're talking about, right? They're having parking lot meetings. I want to find out what's going on over there. That's whatever they're talking about is hot. These guys are talking about rebuilding an empire. Not so hot. I want to talk about what Bob and Joe are doing over there, right? So but think about the aspect how it affects your family. So I just wanted to add that piece.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Carlos. So,
Okay. So how many of you here have heard of the Teamster Advantage? Oh, okay.
how many of you are using it? Thanks. Okay, you'll find out.
Okay. You want to explain in person, then we'll do the... No. Okay, okay.
Let's find out.
All right, sorry. All right, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, why so sad?
Hey, I don't know, just bummed out. My tires all messed up on my car. I got my kid, he's gonna have a birthday party, and he wants a Spider-Man birthday party, but I can only afford Batman.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Bob. Have you been using your Teamster Advantage for some discounts? Have you checked out tires?
No, I didn't even know anything about it. I was gonna go to Walmart.
Well, check out Teamster Advantage. I think there's a whole list of different tires and car stuff on there. I have this flyer here. You can get all kinds of stuff for your car. Look, tires. You can go to Goodyear. You get a discount there. And check it out before you go to Walmart, because I think if you can support our local economy, it'll put money back in where the city that you're going to get it at, and it will help revenue for them.
See, but I don't know, because the city I work in have all these potholes, and that's what messed up my tires.
Goodyear is next door in the other city. You can still shop over there, and you get 15%. Last month, I had to buy tires for my car, and I saved $120 for 4 tires. So that's pretty good, right?
120 to
Yeah,
get a
I don't-
Spider-Man party.
Yeah, we'll get you a bounce house at
Right.
least, right? I'll get you a
Right.
bounce house for your party. But I think it's a really good idea. If you can I've done all kinds of stuff. I've got my tags with this other company, and I save $40 on my tags. I've got my windows tinted. There's all kinds of discounts. You should look up your app. Did you get the app downloaded?
No.
Oh, you gotta download the app so you
Can
can
you
be
help me?
updated. I can
I
help you
barely
with
know how to
that.
text.
I can teach you to text
Okay.
too. I can teach you. So yeah, I think you should check out your Teamster Advantage card, because there's so many discounts on there, and you can really save some money and shop local and put your money back in the local economy, and not shop at Walmart where they don't really support labor.
They have McDonald's in
No. Anyway, that's kind of what we do. We talk about where you can really save money, right? And what is it? What is our lesson here on this?
Don't be like Bob.
Don't be Bob. Don't be a Bob.
Don't be a Bob.
So yeah, we have the Teamster Advantage app, and you guys should come to a monthly meeting, a general membership meeting, which is really, if you're not coming, to come. And it's Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Yes, Tuesday night.
5:30.
So remember, please come. And we talk a lot about the Teamster Advantage. It's this really nifty little card. And if you don't have one, sign up for one, because there's so many discounts that we have locally that we can get. And I try to use it at least once a week, and I save money. And we have members who say that they're saving so much money that it counteracts their union dues. It really does. So if you guys really start focusing on saving the money, at our local, and shopping local, which is supporting our local economy, it would be really helpful for you and for our economy.
No, it's, the Teamster Advantage, you know, I know you did the little skit, but I've had members that have gotten air conditioning services and saved like $200-300, tires, I mean, you name it. There's dealerships you can go to, they save thousands of dollars at dealerships buying a car, so, you know, the more you use it, and that's what the purpose of it is, obviously to keep money locally, because a Walmart, what they get in taxes is not compared to a locally owned business. They're gonna put more back in taxes, which is more back in the economy. So that's what we're trying to do. And not only that, it's also offsetting your union dues. So when somebody makes the argument like, oh, this is how much I pay in union dues, but if you save $200 on air conditioning or $150 in tires, it kind of kills it for the month. Not saying you're gonna get tires every month, but if you want to, that's okay. But there's a vice there, there's a mechanism where you can offset your union dues. So that's the Teamster Advantage. So
Well, thank you guys.
Thank
for
you, guys.
listening. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to talk to us.
Yeah, so I just want to say a couple of things as well. First of all, I have my Teamster Advantage card. But, you know, one of the reasons I got my Teamster Advantage card, and some of you know me personally know that I'm also a steward with Teamsters for the DA's office. So I go to all the meetings that I can, because I get busy, but I try to go to all of them, including the ones that are after hours, which is after work, you know. But that's not the reason I invited the Teamsters here. I invited them because this organization is about professional and personal development. And what's really important for you guys to understand is that I know people have grumblings about the union sometimes. It's always about the dues, and I pay so much, and they don't do anything for me, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, your union is here now, especially now. And what they're attempting to do is affect political change that's all going to benefit you guys. I go to the Upland City Council meeting every Monday, every other Monday. Like they were saying, that it's always empty. There's no one ever there. Recently, they had this whole skate park debate. They're trying to open up the skate park again. And there was a bunch of kids there saying, open our skate park. There was more young kids than there was, you know, people at our age that are trying to get stuff done. So everyone likes to complain. No one likes to do anything. If you're not going to do anything, at least support your union that's trying to better your wages. Because I go to these meetings all the time, and that's what they're really doing. You know, again, yeah, the dues go up. Yeah, that's kind of what you pay for, but you're paying for good service. And if you're paying for the service anyways, it's almost like going, having good health insurance and never using it, right? I've got this cough, I've got this cold, but I pay into it every month, but nah, I don't want to use that, I don't care about it. No one's going to do that, right? So you really need to be involved in your union because they're really trying to help you guys. Again, this is about personal and professional development, and I believe being politically active, even though the HA is not a political organization, we never endorse one candidate or another. But you guys should know that politics is a major, major component to being a successful employee. Kind of touching base on what they said about the Ontario deal was, if you listen to talk radio or, actually how many of you guys are like career county employees and never had private sector jobs? That's enough for you. So I only joined as a public employee about 4 years ago, right? Prior to that I was a private sector employee. And I shared the sentiment with everyone else out there, which is I hate government workers. Every time I go to any government building, they don't give me good service, they don't give me attention, they don't care about me, and they get paid these fat salaries and they never help me out. And I shared that opinion, right? And then I joined and I'm like, well, I'm not lazy, I'm not I work really hard, right? Like I work hard every day. It's you, the customer, that comes in that should get smacked in the face. But the reality is that's the perception out there, right? And there's a perception that you guys get these big raises and these big fat salaries, and you guys don't deserve them. You guys have medical, right? Bingo. You don't. But that's the perception out there. And the problem is, the reason you want to get politically active and know what your union's doing for you is because, like they're talking about the Ontario deal, is when you go for a raise, they always say, you guys get enough salary right anyways, you guys get all the benefits, et cetera, we pay too much, you guys don't deserve more. But then the city of Ontario gave away millions of tax dollars that could have gone to go increase your salaries if you're in the local area. That's not only happening in Ontario, it's happening everywhere throughout the county. It's happening everywhere throughout California. Right now, in this current environment across the United States, there are more billionaires now than there ever have been, by far. There's 150,000 billionaires, 560 which live in America. That's never happened before. And the reason that is because people that own these corporations that are no longer union, they like to put money in their pocket as opposed to give money to employees. So the real enemy out there is not the union, even though we hate paying our dues and whatever, you know. But you gotta realize what they're going for. You guys do have a significant advantage over people that are in the private sector who can be terminated at will. So you guys are paying for, it's almost like saying you get, it's kind of like paying for a little bit of protection. You know, not the old ways with the Billy Club or the bat, you know. You're not getting that protection, but you are getting the protection. So you're actually paying for something that you might use one day. So I just want to kind of tie that all in because I know people are like, I had a couple people email and say, oh, why are we doing the Teamsters? You know, how's that professional personal development? And I responded to those people. It definitely is. This is definitely going to help you both professionally and personally develop. So I hope you guys do take all the information that was given to you and read it. I hope you guys are all a little bit inspired to go to city council meetings or board of supervisor meetings. There's tons of stuff happening, and it's almost by no mistake that all these committee meetings and city council meetings happen after hours, because they know that's when most people say, I gotta go home, I don't have time to deal with that. You know, so a lot of these meetings take place after hours, but if you're gonna learn about it, and you should really try and go to them, whether it's in your local city, the city you work or the city you live in. You should really try and get out there. So, anyways, that's my whole 2 cents. I think Veer had a couple things he wanted to say as well.
Yeah, I also have my Teamsters Advantage card. And I would encourage everybody to get it and use it. And just a couple things to emphasize what was said. We need to get politically active. Because if we don't get politically active, then other people will do what they want and not what we want. And there's a saying that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So if we don't get involved, they will dictate what happens to us. So please, let's get involved. As a matter of fact, this evening we'll be having an interview with candidates. The union, we support certain candidates that support our cause. And tonight we'll be interviewing several candidates to see what they have to say based on what our agenda is. And based on their responses and their records, we will endorse them. And we'll send out information to you as to who we're endorsing. So we're fairly active in terms of getting involved. But only a few people can make the changes. We want to reinvigorate the Inland Empire, and it takes all of us. Because if all of us share the burden, the work becomes lighter. Right? Right?
Yes.
And now we're coming towards the end of a contract. So we're in the process of gearing up for negotiation. Again, you have to become active in order for management to see that you're supporting us. Because if you're not active, the management will say, well, these people are interested, and they'll give us the runaround. If you're active, they will say, well, we'll get some pushback if we don't listen to what they say. And as such, over the next 9 months or so, we're going to be asking you to be doing different things to be active in the community. So I hope that we can depend on you to be active both at your job and in the community politically. Thanks. Oh, my name is Bill Williams.
Just to add one thing, kind of piggyback on what Veer was saying, is do you think if the public voted on your contract, they would vote to give you an increase?
No.
Okay. Do you think they would vote to increase your pension?
No.
Those are things that are actively happening in San Diego County. There's an ordinance that they passed where the public votes on all contracts, all labor contracts. So that's part of the reason we need to get politically involved, because we don't want to be asleep at the wheel and that happen here. Because we already know the outcome of what that will be. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to let you guys know you guys didn't clap for me, you clapped for Veer, you clapped for I just happen to run this organization. No, but yeah, so you know, enough of all that. We appreciate that. Thank you. But so in addition to that, a couple other announcements. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and dismiss you guys. Carlos and Sharon will be back there. Like I said, they'll answer any questions you guys wanna approach them about any questions you may have. But a couple of other quick announcements. You guys might have seen this stuff coming in. We've got some like grocery bags and some USB car chargers, also some badge holders. So these are the things that we'll be giving out to members that sign up as early birds this year. Obviously, your memberships, and if you don't know, your memberships help fund the organization. Every membership is mostly every membership, because there are a few exceptions, will be reimbursed through PERC through the county. So by joining, you gotta wait a couple weeks, you'll get reimbursed for that. So it's really free to join the organization, but your memberships help fund the organization. As a thank you for being an early bird, which will help fund us through this year and all the activities we want to do this year, Cinco de Mayo, etc. We'll be giving all those cool little gadgets and stuff with HEA stuff for you for being an early bird. So please join there. As of right now, we're gonna go ahead and do the raffle. So get out your little red tickets. I think Veer's got some gift certificates or gift cards to get out, and I think we'll award 3 today. So. Okay. Hold on. We'll have a day where we get. Oh, yeah, okay. Sign up.
Oh, I don't know. Unless there's new people coming in.
Alright, so the first winner is 791340. What number? 40.
791340.
We have some $10 gift cards.
People came after me.
I'm like Vanna.
One number you got 40 grand.
Starbucks. We have Cold Stones and Dominoes left.
And next winning number is 352.
Oh, I told you.
There you go.
Don't worry, the late bird. Not the early bird.
And the last one is 356.
What were you?
Oh, it's our new secretary.
You got 333.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you guys can come in.
I got 47, you only got 50.
Yeah, make the new guy feel welcome.
You do. I'm like, kick 30.
It's funny we brought him when he wins.
We got 47, they go 50.
Yeah, I know.
Cada que se juntan aquí.
Should have laid that 3 for one ahead of you.
Cada que se juntan aquí.
Don't forget to turn in your voting forms to ballots, please.
It will be in your email. Wait, get the rest of the whole county. If you ever come in now, you'll get it.
Want to claim it? But she got the card. Yeah. You want it?
Oh, I was telling you on the paper that we filled up. It was saying that, look at the book, it says anything from 20 to 50 volts and above, I consider high voltage. Because according to our MOU, it says, if any electrician working on the high voltage, you should give me breakaway. But also they awarded 400 But according to Cobra, it says anything from 30 or above is considered high voltage, not 480. Unless the county don't want to pay for us working with under.
So how would that be? Would that be just like that?